The Heart of It.
Roy West kicking in towards the centre.
A distinctly Tasmanian conversation.
I can feel what it will be like when Tassie plays his first game, and I just...
Lynch gathers, he's got loose men everywhere, but he decides to have a pump shot, and it's an absolute ripper! 200 goals for Peter Hudson. What a fantastic effort.
How did he do that? Bear kick finishes off in style.
Up towards half forward, Stewart flying over the top. Oh, pulled in a beautiful mark.
Well done from Scott. After all, he's got the first goal. Has it gone?
Nichols has had the big ruck with it. Oh! Crosswell!
Welcome to The Heart of It. I'm Alistair Nicholson. Today, a key pillar in Essendon's quest for an AFLW premiership. A North West Coast Tasmanian who has witnessed firsthand the rise of elite women's football as a foundation player in the AFLW's inaugural season. Wynyard's Ellyse Gamble was drafted while bushwalking with a school group on the Freycinet Peninsula. She had to walk to the top of a peak to get the phone signal needed to speak with her new coach at the Western Bulldogs. About as Tassie as it gets. Since that euphoric moment, Gamble has been an AFLW staple, but she's had to endure the highs, the lows and the hardships of football and of life. Injury robbed her of the chance to play in a premiership in 2018, and last season she played in round one just days after the devastating loss of her father. This is Ellyse Gamble's Tasmanian football story.
So I grew up in the town of Wynyard, so along the northwest coast of Tassie there. That's still where my family lives, still my family home. Mum's still back in that house there, so it's always nice to go back and visit still there. Geez, what did I get up to as a kid? I think I was like most kids down in Tassie where sporting clubs were the crux of your town. So I was a part of a lot of different sporting clubs, the local soccer club, basketball club. I did gymnastics. I did lots of different things. I did Navy cadets for a little bit, some sailing. I had to go at lawn bowls. I did absolutely everything you could possibly do down there. Went to school in Tassie, in Wynyard, sorry. So started off at Table Cape Primary School and then went to Wynyard High School before then going across to Burnie, where I then started playing footy and went to Hellier College for year 11 and 12.
That is a beautiful part of the world, Table Cape Primary School. So you've got views, I'd imagine, of that rocky outcrop that people don't know too much about.
Yeah, it's lovely. And they're the things, I guess, now having moved away from Tassie, I definitely, when I go back and visit, I think took for granted growing up, and it really is such a lovely part of the world, I guess. I mean, Hobart and stuff is such a lovely place as well in Tassie, but I think a lot of people don't really get up to the Northwest Coast when they think about visiting Tassie. And it's so beautiful. But yeah, a lot of special memories up Table Cape, and when during the season with the Tulip Festival and with all the tulips growing up there and the lighthouse and that, yeah, plenty of trips up the Cape there to enjoy the views.
So I grew up on the Northwest Coast as well, and you talk about community sport there, and my experience was very similar. Why do you think that is? Why do you think on the Northwest Coast sport is so ingrained in the culture of the place?
Yeah, I think it's just, as I said, it's really just, it's the way of growing up, isn't it? It's all I ever knew of being a part of sporting clubs, and I think that's what brought our community together. Obviously I played myself, but I can just recall going along to, the footy finals when Wynyard was versing Devonport in the men's, the reserves and seniors grand finals, and how that just brought the community together. Everyone would go along and make banners and things like that. And I remember going along to those games, watching with my dad and mum and doing all of that. So I think it was just such a great way to bring the community together. And yeah, everyone was just a part of something, and you'd soon, obviously living in Wynyard, a smaller town, you'd walk down the street and I'd know everyone, and you'd talk about sport and things like that. But yeah.
Who do you remember from that era playing football for Wynyard? Did you have players that you followed and loved at the club?
Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, throwing me under the bus a bit at the moment. Oh my God, what's his name? He was the tall forward, and he was a teacher at St Bridget's Primary School. Anyone listening to this will be like, what? Like yelling his name at me.
Greg Sharman, was
Greg
it?
Sharman, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
He'd be yelling
Greg
at most
Sharman.
knowing Shams. I think he's now the
Yeah.
principal at Morris College.
Yeah. So I can remember when he was, I think, the principal at St Bridget's Primary School there in Wynyard. But yeah, I remember going along and watching him and some of those boys. So.
Yeah, cool. And did your family, they were pretty keen football followers? Was there a history of playing the game in your family?
Not so much a massive history. Like I've had a bit of family play, but yeah, always followed. Like my dad was a diehard Carlton supporter, and would always go along and watch the local games. But yeah, like not a massive history of football players, but I like my pop, played footy when he was younger and all of that. So. A little bit of a pathway, but...
Yeah, but you
not
were
so much.
often there. What do you remember about your experiences going to local footy in those days, the environment, how engaged in the game were you?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I think it was my first job actually. I started working in the local canteen at the Wynyard Footy Club. So my mum had worked in the canteen and helped out a little bit. And then I can't remember the exact age that I was, but... I would have only been young, and I started working in the footy canteen as well. So I guess probably one of the best memories was people would always talk about my mum would help cook the chips and stuff, and people would say that they were the best chips or the best like salves and things like that. And so it's so funny, but they're probably some of my memories, just working in the canteen and having different players come through and help out as well. But yeah, I remember there was a specific area on the far side that my dad would sit with one of his mates to watch the games, and so I would be working in the canteen and then I would walk around and sit with dad in that spot, watching the games, and yeah, that's probably my biggest memories.
So when you're making the best batch of chips in Tasmania and the Savaloys are coming out thick and fast, you're probably not thinking much about being a footballer yourself, are you?
Oh, absolutely not. Well, at this point, I wasn't playing footy at all. I definitely wasn't thinking about playing football at a high level or anything at all. As I said, I was predominantly growing up playing basketball and netball and a few other sports here and there, but they were the sports that I was mostly passionate about at that time and I was heavily involved in. But yeah, no, I definitely wasn't thinking about my own footy journey when I was helping mum hand out those chips over the counter.
So where does that start to materialise? Do you remember that first engagement with the game of football as a young girl?
Yeah, so I guess way back I found some photos of me when I was 7 or 8 years old. So I actually did do 2 years. I actually messaged mum this morning to confirm, hey mum, like how many years of Auskick did I play when I was a little kid? And mum confirmed for me that I only did the 2 years of Auskick in under 8s when I was really young. And so I have an older brother that's 4 years older than me. And I guess as most younger siblings would say, you kind of follow in your older siblings' footsteps and you want to have a go at whatever they're doing and try and one-up them and do a bit better. So I think I purely just got dragged along to that with my brother. And I can't really recall too much about it. I'm sure I enjoyed it and stuff, but I don't think it was for me back at that time. And it was, I think I was the only girl in like my team. So I stepped away from it after that. And then I guess footy kind of reignited for me again, really when I was, I think, maybe 15, 16 years of age. Like most schools, I can recall doing maybe a 3 or 4 week round robin competition. And I think I did that each year, so year 7, 8, 9 and 10.
At Hellier?
No, this would have been at Wynyard High School.
Oh, yeah,
I started playing some school footy. But I mean, back then it was pretty much girls running and squealing, like screaming when the ball came near them, and the quality would not have been great at all. So it was purely just a little bit of fun. But then I think when I was in year 10, that's kind of where it kicked off for me. It's a bit of a funny story, I guess. So after the school round robin, I think they must have picked a few of the best players from each school to go and join and make a regional team to then verse, I think maybe it was like the Devonport area. And well, I wasn't actually invited along to that. But my best friend was. And so my best friend, Danielle, went along to that. And then I remember her coming back the next day going, come along to the next one. They need more players. There wasn't enough girls show up. And so I was like, oh, I don't really know. And anyway, she convinced me to go along. So I did. I went along, played in that team. And, yeah, it was some kind of regional team thing. Played in that game. And then it really went from there, to be honest. I then got asked to go and train with the Tassie women's side, which I believe was really that first year for them going to play in a national carnival somewhere. I can't remember where it was. So I went and did that. And then from there, Shiloh Curtis, I can't remember. I don't know.
She's a fantastic woman, Shiloh.
Yeah, so she came down to Tassie and essentially, long story short, was like, do you three girls want to come and play for Vic Country in the Youth Girls National Carnival? And now that was when I was in year 10, so 2013.
So there was no option to do that for Tasmania. You were given the opportunity to do that for Victoria as a country player, essentially.
Yeah. So, no opportunity at that point in time to play for Tassie at any youth girls level. So, that opportunity came about. And I thought, this is awesome. So, actually came over and played for Vic Country in the Youth Girls National Carnival out in Shepparton.
Wow, man, that's extraordinary that you've gone down that path before anything's really opened up solidly for you in Tasmania. So you're not even playing really weekly football at that point.
Oh, no, I hadn't played any footy at all other than the little bit of school footy. I don't know the order I can't quite remember, but then also Shiloh invited me over to participate in a under-16s high performance camp thing here in Melbourne for a week. And so that was a really big eye-opener for me as well, of the possibilities and the calibre of players around the country at that time as well. So I participated in that camp with like the likes of Taylor Harris and Lily Mithen and Britt Benici and players like that. So I can't remember if that was before or after Vic Country, to be honest. I think it may have actually been before. But they were my first two real opportunities that I got invited to from Shiloh and her connection to the pathway and Tassie and stuff.
Yeah, so Shiloh, just for those listening who don't know much about Shiloh, she was a long-time employee of Football Victoria, working in the women's talent pathway, and a fantastic player herself with Melbourne Uni, wasn't she, going back many years now, a great commentator with the ABC and also Fox Footy. So that's an interesting part of your development. So when does it start to track back the Tasmanian way a little bit for you then, Ellyse? When do opportunities for you to start to progress your football emerge in Tassie?
Yeah, so directly after that year where I played for Vic Country, the following year there started to become more. I then went back and joined the Burnie Dockers, and that's where I started playing. I still was only 16 at the time. Started playing with women in that competition, so there was no other opportunity for me to play in under 18s or anything like that. So it was straight into the women's competition, playing for the Burnie Dockers, travelling, 9 hours a day on a Sunday on the bus to go down and verse, Clarence and Glenorchy and things like that down the bottom of the state. I think back now when we have maybe we verse Geelong now here at Essendon, we'll go down and play Geelong at GMHBA and things like that, and the players are like, road trip, and I'm like, that's just an hour down the road. Like, you have no idea what I did back then. But so started playing for the Burnie Dockers, and then from there a few more players across the state started coming up through the ranks, and at that time we didn't quite have enough talent to make our own under 18 national team to compete in the National Carnival for Tassie. So this would have been 2015, I believe. I might need to double check the dates, but 2014 actually. We combined with the Northern Territory. So we had half a team from Tassie and half a team from the Northern Territory, and we came together to combine to make a team to compete in the Youth Girls National Carnival, and that was in Western Australia in Mandurah. Yep. That year. And we called ourselves the Thunder Devils. So for NT Thunder and the Tassie Devils. So it's always funny looking back on those on the uniform that we wore.
What did the jumper look like?
Yeah, so we had kind of both colours. So we had the greens and yellow, like greens for Tassie, and then like the reds and orange for Northern Territory and things like that. And we had the lightning bolt, and then I think we had the devil logo.
Sounding very busy.
Yeah,
that jumper.
Yeah. So, and then I remember when we won a couple of games, we sung the TNT like Dynamite song for our theme song. Yeah. So it actually all came together. So that was such a wild experience. I'm so fortunate for it though. It was so much fun. I made some really good friends from that as well.
Any other notable players in that group that you played with that have played AFLW as well?
Yeah. So probably the most notable is Danielle Ponta. So now, amazing player for the Adelaide Crows. So played with Danielle Ponta in that team. So we did that. And then after that year, we then made our first ever Tassie under-18 representative side, which we then competed at the Youth Girls National Carnival for. I was lucky enough to captain that side. And then from there, Tassie's just really taken off, and there's been those opportunities for girls to represent Tassie every year since. Yeah,
the program's fantastic, in really good shape now. And Jess Wushner, your teammate of just last year, is now the coach of that program, and they've been doing really well. That original setup at Burnie, how would you describe it? What were the facilities like for women's football? How much investment was there? What was it like?
Yeah, I think when I was playing, my footy there at the Burnie Dockers, it was still very much evolving the women's space. It was definitely back to grassroots footy. I don't think we didn't really have change rooms. We would just get out of our cars and change on the side of the oval before going out and training. We were lucky enough to, one of the girls, her dad coached us, and another one of the girls' dads helped coach and was our runner and that. So again, thinking about just volunteers, just run our program. So it was definitely back to grassroots footy. And then, I spent a few years there, and we started to get more and more involvement in the club and the boys program and stuff. But it was definitely basic to start off with.
You won a premiership in 2014, so that's obviously a great memory of yours. And then 2016, you do it again, and you kicked 4 goals and were best player in the grand final, weren't you?
Yeah.
I know you as a defender. So back then you were a forward, were you?
Yeah. So I started off as a key forward. I rucked a lot. So through that, the junior national carnivals, I was predominantly playing ruck and would rotate forward a little bit. It's wild now to think that I was a forward. I'm definitely happy in the back line and being a defender now, but I did start off as a forward. I always have a bit of a joke now. Lucky enough to have Paul Groves, who drafted me, my first ever coach at the Western Bulldogs. He's now back on board as an assistant coach here at Essendon. And I always make jokes sometimes about put me up forward, I'll kick some snags, and I have a joke with Grovesy going I wasn't very good up forward, don't put me back there.
Well, hang on just a second. With about a minute to go in the final of last season against Geelong at GMHBA Stadium, you kicked your first AFLW goal in game number 41. So
I did.
You're only as good as your last game, Ellyse, aren't you?
I do, and I have. It is. Thank you to my forward for sliding back into their back line for those dying minutes, and that's how I ended up kicking my goal. But I have brought it up with some of my teammates here and there, going, "Hey, just remember, I'm the most recent goal kicker at this club at the moment," as a bit of a joke, because we all know the next one isn't going to be just around the corner, I don't think. But no, it's definitely a bit of a laugh, but. I loved playing my footy up forward at the Burnie Dockers, and was lucky enough to, I guess, do my little bit and put some scores on the board in that grand final. And that's definitely one of my most memorable moments of my footy career, winning that. I mean, the first premiership was great at the Burnie Dockers, but there was just something about that second one in 2016, winning that game against Clarence, and it was an awesome. I think I'd just turned 18. I was hoping to get drafted and all of that. So, yeah, it was very memorable.
Well, let's touch on that just before we get to your draft. I wanted to ask you about your Tasmanian influences. So you spoke a little bit about Shiloh Curtis and the role she'd played in sort of helping to identify you. Who helped groom you as a player or bring you through in Tassie when you were just a young footballer?
Yeah, I mean, when I reflect back, like I'm super fortunate for the people I've had in my and that I have in my life and have supported me along the way. I mean, yeah, significant people. Well, there's so many people that's been so significant in getting me here today and where I've been. I guess back in Tassie, one of my teammates and coaches and teachers at Hellier College, Deborah Bond, she played a huge part in my footy journey. She, so as I said, like I played with her. She helped coach me. She would help drive me to different. She was also helping it, like doing coaching as part of the state programs as well. So often when we would meet in Campbelltown to train and do those sessions, like I would go along with Deb. So she was so huge for me in that process. Also, like as well, Sophie Edwards. So she was also one of my teammates at the Burnie Dockers, cousins to Deb, and she was our team manager for those teams as well. So for when we combined with Northern Territory and then our first Tassie under-18s team, she was our team manager. She was, but we lived close by, and so I'd be with her most weekends, driving to Campbelltown with her. So yeah, they're probably two that come to mind a lot as well. And then we had Lee Elder there, a part of the state program as well. He played a big part in my pathway and getting selected into programs and things like that along the way as well.
So on the way to the first AFLW season, which is just a huge and very significant moment in Australian sport, really, when you reflect back on it now, there were some exhibition games. You got the chance to play for the Western Bulldogs in those, and then ultimately end up on their inaugural AFLW list. Can you tell me how all that transpired?
Yeah, so that first exhibition match, I came over and I just remember being just in awe of what I was a part of and meeting all of the players and I just couldn't believe that I was a part of something alongside the calibre of players that I had started to learn about, and not necessarily that I looked up to because I hadn't really known about them for super long and things like that. But as footy started to become more and more for me, I started learning about these players and so being a part of that was just crazy. So that first exhibition match that I was a part of, I didn't actually play the game, but it was the Bulldogs versus Melbourne game. And then the next one, or was it the other way around? I can't quite remember. But I then played the Western Bulldogs versus Western Australia game that we played at Marvel Stadium. That Eddie had at the stadium at the time. It's
had a few names over the years.
Yeah. So, was it at the? No, I think it was at Marvel. I'm thinking now, was it at MCG? I think it was Marvel. Played in that one. So, so I was fortunate to come over and do that with Emma Humphreys, who was then initially drafted to Melbourne Football Club. And so we got to take part in that together. And I guess just to have that opportunity given to us, being down in Tassie and that it was great just to have that opportunity and get some Tassie faces and names kind of out there a little bit. That kind of happened, which was really awesome. I learnt a lot. I was very kind of young and timid and shy and really I couldn't kick the football at that point. So I was just in shock that I was even there and a part of it. But I think from that experience, I was like, yep, this is what I want to do. I want to keep growing as a footballer, growing as a person, getting better because I want to be a part of the AFLW when it comes in. Absolutely loved that. And then, I guess after having that initial connection with the Bulldogs, that led me, I guess, to them kind of knowing about me. And when I got drafted, I was actually on because I after I finished year 12 and then it was 1 year until the draft. And I was like, well, I don't want to start studying in Tassie because I want to, I hope that to get drafted. So I worked at Hellier College as an outdoor ed assistant. And then I was actually away on a 3-night hiking trip around at Freycinet.
Oh, wow.
When I got drafted with a group of students, and it was the first day of the hike, and I had it on my phone, and I didn't know if I was going to have reception or not. Walking along, all the kids had a guess of what number I'd get drafted for. Of course, one of the boys was like, "Oh, you'll go for pick 69," and then, and anyway, happened to get picked picked. And then I remember we got to camp that night, and I went out of reception, and then I left the campsite and climbed up another mountain bit to then speak to Grovesy on the phone for the first time. And
So your first conversation with your senior coach at the Western Bulldogs is at the top of a mountain
at
on the Freycinet Peninsula.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. And I laugh about it now, and I just remember trying to do a radio interview, like hiking along with 20 kilos on my back and going in and out of reception. I'm like, "I'm sorry, like, can we do this?" Like, I can't remember what radio it was now, but I remember doing a radio interview walking along in the bush. Like,
That's gold.
Yeah.
So you play in round one of the first season of AFLW, and I've asked a few other players about this. You didn't get to play, obviously, in the Collingwood-Carlton game, but that was on the Friday night. It was a lockout. It was just a gorgeous evening. It could not have been any more spectacular and more profound, really.
Yeah.
What were your memories of watching that and the emotions at the time?
Yeah, I remember watching that game, and my initial reaction was, "This is awesome. This is so amazing. I can't believe I'm watching this right now on the TV." And my second reaction was, "Oh my God, this is going to be me." Tomorrow must have been the next day, like tomorrow. And I was so nervous. I don't think I've been any more nervous in my entire life. The thought of that being me the next day, and those doubts of, "Oh my God, I'm going to be on TV. Am I good enough? Like, I can't do that." That's, watching these amazing athletes on the TV at that time who were my, opposition and competitors, and that was me. I was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is going to be me." So definitely very daunting and scary, but I just remember going, "This is so awesome." And it was just so much bigger and more it was just so much more than I probably ever anticipated it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your first game's against Fremantle, a good win.
Yeah.
Fond memories of that first game?
Yeah, very fond memories. I was lucky enough to have some friends and family come over for the game. Obviously, it was my debut game, but the first game for all of us. I remember, getting to Whitten Oval, and it was just packed out. Like, I remember running out through the banner, and it was just, I think it was like over 10,000 people, full sellout, people crammed in. It was just such an amazing atmosphere, the vibe, the noise. It was just so special. I remember running out for our first initial warm-up, and I remember our captain at the time, Katie Brennan, who's now at Richmond, she kind of said to us in the race just before we ran out in front of everyone, like, "Let's soak this in. It's taken us all such a long time and journey to get to this point. Let's go out there. Let's have a look around, see everyone there, just enjoy, like, warm up, focus, but just enjoy it. And we'll really focus when we come back in and run out again, ready for the game time." But I just remember her saying, "Just go out there, enjoy it, like, soak it all up. Like, we're never going to get this opportunity back again to pull on this Guernsey together for the first ever time, playing our first ever game. This is the first." So I remember running out, just enjoying it. It still gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And then, I don't even think I can really remember too much of the actual game. I remember Katie kicking a few goals and, like, celebrating with her, and I've got some photos of that, and I just think, it's crazy.
It's amazing to think of where it was and where it is now, and obviously you're at another club now. Before we get to the Essendon side of the story, for you, Western Bulldogs ultimately play in a premiership in 2018. Unfortunately, though, you had a syndesmosis ankle injury that sort of ruined your season. How challenging was that for you to deal with? Obviously, there's euphoria around the club winning the premiership, but the fact that you're on the sidelines at the time.
Yeah, like, it's a part of the sport, unfortunately, isn't it? And you're always, unfortunately, going to have players missing out, whether it's selection or injury and other reasons. So, unfortunately for myself, like, I was one of those ones missing out, being on the field on the actual day. But anyone that's a part of the program and a team know that it's so much more than just the people that do take the field. It's the coaches involved, it's your whole squad, it's everyone. So, I mean, I look back on that as a really fun memory as well. Like, I was so fortunate to be a part of a premiership. They don't come around very often and very easily. So, I guess it was a little bit bittersweet. You wanted to be out there, but we had a lot of great players missing out in that game that season with injuries and different things. So, it was hard, but I just am so fortunate that I was still a part of it and got to celebrate with everyone involved in the program and be a part of something special. And now, catch up and we've done a few like catch ups to remember what do you call them, premiership reunions. So we've done a couple of those and just being able to, reflect on such a great accomplishment that group of people did.
Yeah, I mean, not many teams have had the opportunity to win one. The Bulldogs win one in the second year of AFLW. And then as the competition evolves, new teams come in, and Essendon is one of those new teams that's come in recent years. How did the move to the Bombers come about for you, Ellyse?
As you said, like with expansion and more teams coming in, there was always going to be a lot of player movement up until this point, now that we're fully completed with all 18 teams. Look, if I'm honest, there probably wasn't I probably didn't consider the thought of leaving the Bulldogs really ever until I guess, said yes to a conversation to have with Natalie Wood, our head coach now. I guess I absolutely loved my time at the Bulldogs and wouldn't change it for anything and all that. But I think it just came at a nice time for me, just personally in my outside life as well. I was graduating university, stepping into that next stage of my life from being a student and studying into my my teaching career and different things like that. I was moving house and all those things. So it just felt like a really nice time just to not hit the reset button, but just start fresh a little bit and change up my environment. I think I was really excited by the opportunity of just being a part of something brand new again. I obviously got to be a part of the Bulldogs from its inaugural season and really help grow and develop a program. And be a part of that. But I was really excited to come across to Essendon and having evolved as a person and as a player, and as I've got older and matured and have more experience as an athlete behind me, I was just looking forward to coming across to keep evolving in that area as a leader, as more of an experienced player, with knowing that we're going to have a lot of younger, less experienced players. I was really excited about that opportunity. So, Natalie Wood kind of gave me a call. I was at work. I remember being outside, or I was teaching soccer, and I was like, why is Woody calling me? And then I didn't really know what to say to her on the phone. I think I almost blew her off in a way. I was like, oh, no. And then I remember getting off the phone going, oh, God, I'm not leaving the Bulldogs. Like what? And then I thought about it, and I thought, I'm very much a person that I regret the opportunities I don't take. And I thought, it's just a conversation. I'm going to be open-minded. I'm going to go have a chat and see where it leads me. And no strings attached. And so really it was one conversation led to another. I got really excited about the prospect of it and what moving to Essendon would involve. Really, it was the unknown. Like, they'd never, I didn't know who my teammates were going to be, what the program was going to look like. It was a lot of trust of what I was hearing and just trust that that's what it was going to be like. I sat on it for a week or two, and I think I cried every day because I was just so stressed with making the decision and not knowing. I went back and forth of, I'm staying, I'm leaving, I'm staying, I'm leaving, I'm staying. And then, eventually I guess I came to the decision that I think for me to keep evolving as a player and as a person, that the right step for me was to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and come across to Essendon, which, I'm absolutely loving my time here now. Yeah,
made finals last year, and let's see what's possible in this season of AFLW. You mentioned Natalie Wood. So perhaps one of the most beautiful pieces of imagery that we saw of last season was when you were going through an extremely difficult time. You'd lost your father and played a game of football a couple of days later. I can't imagine how that would have been for you.
Yeah, it was certainly one of the most challenging times I've gone through. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone losing a parent. And, I guess reflecting back, my dad had been a little unwell, and so that lead up and, I guess we knew it was coming, and I was fortunate enough to have that time to spend with my dad and say goodbye and all of that. The lead up to the season was really challenging. I was kind of back and forth between Tassie and here for the month or two leading up to round one. And I mean, I didn't know if I was going to be playing that round one or other games throughout the season. Obviously, my family came first, and so I was back and forth, and it was just really the unknown. I was really living day by day, week by week, and just hearing different news and things like that. So that took a lot of support from people involved in the footy club and my friends and family and stuff during that time. But Woody was amazing during that time. She was so supportive of me, going back and being with my family and doing footy. And it meant that I missed a couple of sessions here and there. But I couldn't have asked for her to be any more supportive during that really challenging time. And then, obviously, I made the decision to play. I think I was always going to play. I knew that that's what Dad wanted, and I just really wanted to make Dad proud that night and play footy. And it's something that I love and brings me so much, brings a smile to my face and so much joy. So I was really honest. I was kind of like, if I haven't slept and I'm feeling really lethargic or tired, I won't play. But if I feel like I can, I want to play. And so Woody was really great with that as well. We had those discussions around that. And at the end, she gave me the decision if I was, ready to play or not. And I said, yep, I'm ready to go. I'm so lucky I got the opportunity to play that game. Prior to the game, Woody had some really touching words. I didn't know that she was kind of going to say anything about Dad and stuff, but that was really nice in the pre-game huddle out in the field. Very emotional, but that was really sweet. And then to get the win, and I think after such a massive week of so much emotion and stuff, I think it all came out after we had won, and the siren, and the floodgates definitely opened, and I was definitely feeling it. And just to have Woody come over and give me a big hug, and I think she said that she was proud of me, and Dad would have been proud of me, and all of that. And Woody's had her own experiences losing her dad and things like that as well. So we definitely bonded a little bit over chatting about some of that and that. So to have just her support and know that she knew what I was going through and the significance of it was really touching.
I suppose it's situations like that where you really realise how important a sporting club and those around you can be in a time of crisis in your personal life, in times of tragedy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just have so much amazing support here at the Essendon Footy Club with my teammates and just all the staff involved, our player development manager, Lauren Spark. I wouldn't have got through it without her. Footy clubs, I guess moving away from all of my really close friends and family in Tassie, the sporting environment and my the Bulldogs and now now Essendon genuinely are my second family. I know that gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of people say it's your footy club's your second home, your second family. But for me, that genuinely is they're my biggest support network. And I have other networks in Victoria here from other areas of my life that I've developed over the years, but predominantly the people involved in these footy clubs are my support network and my family away from home. So, I'm just so fortunate that although there's never a good time for something like that to happen, you hope that it never happens. I'm so lucky that I went through the most challenging time of my life in an environment where I felt so supported and cared for and loved.
Yeah. You mentioned there moving away and leaving that support network that you traditionally had in your family. Obviously, with news in the last few years, that's not going to be the case for young Tasmanian footballers who aspire to play at the top level. Firstly, what was your reaction when you heard that Tassie was getting AFLW and AFL men's teams?
Yeah, I think my initial reaction was just excitement. Just, this is going to be great. It's a massive step to leave your home state and everything you've ever known and that. So to have the pathways and opportunities just keep improving down there in Tassie for, not just the young girls, but the young boys as well is phenomenal. But now to have coming in the AFL and AFLW teams for the prospect of local talent getting drafted and being able to compete at the top level and represent their home state that means so much to them is incredible. And it's so important. I'm so glad it's happened. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the day that, the Tassie AFL and AFLW teams get to compete in the national competition.
Yeah, it's exciting. Do you ever reflect and think, wow, I wonder what that would have been like had I had the opportunity to go through an elite pathway at a younger age and could see that beacon of an AFL team sitting above what I was trying to achieve in sport?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's somewhat hard to imagine, I guess. And I'm still so fortunate that I was still at a good age to have those opportunities still put in front of me to get me to this point and that. And we always think back about how many people, would have been phenomenal players in the AFLW, but they missed their opportunity of it. But yeah, I mean, it would have been amazing to have that, and even just, it's very much you can't be what you can't see. And so I didn't really have too many football role models growing up and that. So now for younger Tassie girls growing up and in time, they're going to have Tassie AFLW players to look up to and be like, yeah, I want to keep going through the ranks down here in Tassie to then play for the Tasmanian AFLW team. Like it's awesome. So yeah.
There are quite a few of you running around over here in different teams, aren't there?
There is.
Is that exciting? Do you like to see that?
Yeah. It's awesome. Every time a Tassie player gets drafted, yeah, you definitely know about it. And it's awesome. I do get excited by all the talent that gets drafted, and yeah, there's definitely some great players coming through. So yeah, it is exciting.
All right. Based on what I've heard during the interview, it sounds like we're beneath the gym. And if what I'm hearing with weights hitting the floor is any indication of the hard work going on at Essendon, it could be a good year for the AFLW team. What are your thoughts on how things are progressing as we sit here chatting? We're only a few weeks out from your first game.
Yeah, so we're not far off round one. We've got our practice match, official practice match tomorrow against Geelong here at Windy Hill. Yeah, I mean, definitely in for a good season. Very much looking forward to the start of the season. We train for so long. We have such a long off season and a long pre-season as well. So we're very much looking forward to putting everything into action. But no, we're tracking really well down here at Essendon. I believe we've gone away and a lot of girls have had a really great off season. Connecting in with each other, getting better, coming along to the club, doing our programs together. The first initial years, I guess, was a lot about building that connection, understanding the game plan at more of a, simplistic level, and just building that connection together, where this year we've really spent a lot of time drilling into a bit more of the detail and advancing our game plan and structures and all of that. And building that connection, which just comes with time as well. So, we made finals last year and unfortunately went out to Geelong in that first final there, but hopefully we can go a few steps better than that this year. But I think we'll have a really good season. Every single player has gone away and done the work and improved their own game individually, and the connection that we've built across the team's great. And yeah, got some really great young talent coming into the team from the draft this year as well.
Exciting, very exciting. Wonderful to chat. Couple of quick, sharp, short questions for you before we depart of a Tassie nature. If you had one Tasmanian footballer who you could pick to have a shot at goal after the siren to win you a game of football, who would it be?
Oh, God. Let's go with Jack Revolt.
You go, Jack? Okay.
Yeah.
He'll like that. He'll enjoy hearing that.
Yeah.
The Tasmanian team gets to pick one player from the AFLW competition. They can pick whoever they like.
All right.
Let's say that's that player now and their capabilities at present. Who would you suggest they take?
Well, I mean, I can't go past one of my co-captains, Bonnie Toogood. I think she's just, her leadership, her as a player is phenomenal. I'd say Bonnie Toogood or maybe Jasmine Garner.
Yeah, she's a
from
very
North
good
Melbourne.
player too, isn't she?
Yeah.
All right. A tourist is going to Tasmania and you have to recommend that they go to one place. Where would you send them?
One place. Let's go with... That's hard. Let's go climb the Stanley Nut.
I like it.
Yeah.
Go up the northwest coast, go to Stanley, climb the
Warm
nut.
up those calves.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you, the next question was of your favourite big things in Tassie, which ranks number one for Ellyse Gamble. Is it the Stanley Nut? Is it the big penguin at Penguin, or is it the big spud at Sprayton?
Oh, well, I've got a photo with all of them. I do love the penguin in Penguin. Yep. Can't beat that.
That appeals to your interviewer, that's for sure. That's a very good answer, Ellyse, and a great way to finish things up. Thanks so much for having a chat to me.
No worries. Thank you, Alistair.
Ellyse Gamble, from Table Cape Primary to the big time. Gamble is one of 17 Tasmanians on the list of AFLW clubs for the 2024 season. That number will only continue to grow, and our own team is just around the corner. I hope you enjoyed hearing Ellyse's story. For more episodes of The Heart of It with other AFLW players like Mia King and Nicole Bresnahan, or to hear the distinctly Tasmanian stories of our male greats including Hudson, Hart, Stewart and Croswell, or modern champions like Jeremy Howe, subscribe to The Heart of It wherever you get your podcasts, or visit tasmaniafc.com. I'm Alistair Nicholson. Thanks for your company.